Hello, and welcome to Who Are You? We're a reasonably well-done sci-fi watchcast hosted by two friends who are currently watching 2004's Battlestar Galactica. I'm Xhafer.
And I'm Laura.
And hey, new show.
New show. Yeah.
First
nice
real
mini-series to start it off.
Right? Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call the miniseries nice, but...
Well, yeah. Oh, we should get content warnings just up at the top, right?
Yeah, content warnings right now. Just, there's infanticide in this episode. There is the use of nuclear armaments, a mass extinction event in this episode.
Yeah, genocide, right?
Genocide in this episode.
Ooh,
this show's heavy. This episode was heavy, and there are heavy episodes to come, listener. And if that's all too much, given the state of the world, we'll see you in a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is, when we're done.
There's just like a standing content warning on this show.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to even just assume every episode has genocide as a content warning, because that's
for sure.
That's what the show's about.
It's the whole deal.
And if we need additional ones, we'll call them out. But
yes.
I don't think we're going to... If you're listening to a podcast about Battlestar Galactica 2004 and you don't know it's about robots hunting humanity to end all of humanity, then that's what the show is about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no escaping it.
They make that pretty clear right away, too.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about Battlestar Galactica. I mean, okay. I know the general things you absorb by being in the sci-fi universe, just around.
Yeah.
I knew about the blonde robot, kind of, that she's a thing. I knew what the Cylons used to look like. I caught a lot of like homage to that a little bit. They had like the kind of the premise where we start out in the miniseries is that Battlestar Galactica is being turned into a museum, right?
Yeah.
And they have like artifacts of those old 60s Cylons.
There are
in the museum
3 big call-outs to the original Battlestar Galactica in this episode.
Okay.
So the very first is on the desk of the dude at the space station. When he's flipping through papers, there are schematic drawings of OG Cylons from the original version of this series.
Okay, yeah.
And then there is the Cylon in the museum. And then there's a third that I wouldn't have expected you to caught having never seen the other show that I'll call out when we get there.
Okay.
It's fun.
Cool.
I think it is one of the best homages in sci-fi history of like television, sci-fi, in all reboots. I think it's the best way to do the thing.
Wow. Okay.
So we'll talk about that when we get there. It's one of my favorite moments of
I'm so excited.
Of the series, really. And it's just a stupid little thing, but it's so perfect. We open on some exposition via text about humanity and the Cylons. God made man, man made robot, robot kills man.
Woman inherits the earth.
The war ended, a ceasefire was called, and they set up a little space station. Its goal, to prevent another war by creating a place where humans and Cylons could work out their differences peacefully.
Uh-huh.
It's a port of call, a home away from home for one old admiral who gets fucking dusted.
Yeah, this is real sad. This guy just like walks in to sit at the table, and we find out that the Cylons have never showed up to this station. They've never sent their representative.
Yeah, no point. Not interested. And some modern-looking Cylon versions of the old Cylon dudes that we were kind of expecting to see walk in. And then Trisha Helfer walks in. That's the actress's name, not the character. The character's name is only number 6.
Yeah. We find out later that she's like the 6th model of something, right?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But she like makes out with this dude as the station explodes.
So weird. So weird. So I have a question.
Yeah.
If she's on the station when it explodes, does she like maintain integrity and float out into space and they pick her up? or like, are there just multiple sixes running around?
Okay. So this is a huge plot point in the series.
Oh boy.
And it is explained in this first episode. So it's not spoilies. It's kind of like offhandedly mentioned, and you probably aren't just catching the scope of it. So later on Caprica, when the nukes start dropping, Gaius is talking to also a number 6, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gaius is like, you have to have a ship somewhere. You have to have an escape plan. And she goes, I don't need one. The second this body is destroyed, my consciousness is uploaded and transferred to a new one.
Okay. So there are multiple sixes. Well, like, there are multiple 6 bodies.
I don't
6
want
might be the same thing.
I don't want to get too far into it because you haven't watched the second half of the miniseries yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will matter then. It's like the next episode this comes up.
Okay. So we won't have to wait long, guys.
No.
So the station just gets completely destroyed by the Cylons, and we cut over to Battlestar Galactica at this point, right?
So I have 2 production comments about this scene and the next scene.
Okay.
So when this station gets exploded, a bit of debris flies out and hits the camera and sends the camera spinning.
That's fun.
That's like the most establishing shot to show you that this is kind of done documentary style. It's supposed to be like a recording, a filming of things. This is something that the show starts doing really heavy in the beginning here, and then kind of slowly loses over the course of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that it's just like, it's very a show and not tell moment when it hits that camera and it goes spitting. It's perfect. It's chef's kiss. And then we cut over to Battlestar Galactica and we get some like tribal drumming.
Yes. I've heard this is going to be a thing.
This is a thing. This is all Richard Gibbs in the miniseries. Bear McCreary, who is now a famous composer, broke out doing the music for this show.
Yeah.
He comes on after the miniseries. So none of the music in these 2 episodes is him. And the style evolves a great deal when Bear comes on and starts working with Richard Gibbs. But the original Battlestar Galactica was like very horns, marching, like ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba da ba. All the music is like super bright and stuff. In this like, I mean, the show's very bright despite it being a very dark show and theme.
That seemed to be kind of a like 60s thing, right?
Yeah. And so it had to have been late 70s because the spinoff was Battlestar 1980.
Oh, okay.
So
it
had to have been
60s, 70s,
yeah.
like we were doing kind of dark stuff, but we were really peppy about it.
Yeah. So a lot of the music, especially in the miniseries, is very much counterpoint to the original.
So I was thinking when I heard this music, I was like, this is what Evan Chen wanted Crusade to be.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I was like, this is what he was going for, but this did it better.
This does it significantly better.
Yeah.
So after this, we're over on the Galactica. We have the big triangle hallways.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And we get a lot about the titular ship here. We have multiple kind of overhead conversations. It's a real trail of West Winging. It's all like this to this character, and then they have a conversation, and then the other character we were following breaks away. We follow a different character. And it does this to kind of establish a lot of the characters we're going to be seeing throughout the course of the show.
This is very smart and well done. This establishes a lot of stuff that someone like me, who has seen nothing and knows only little bits of things, can get established in their universe really quickly.
Yeah. There's a lot of like establishing slang thrown around here too. That was one thing that they really tried to do with this show is like, this is a different culture. They have different, like we're hearing English, right? But they have different curse words They say things that sound like they should make sense, but don't make sense sometimes. And some of that stuff doesn't mean anything. It's just designed to be something that your brain goes, oh, yeah, 2 alien space colonists or whatever, like 2 Capricorns when having a military conversation refer to this thing from their shared military history as a culture that means absolutely fucking nothing to me, makes sense to them, and it's words that I understand, but they don't actually mean anything.
No, I like it a lot. It's a really well done opening.
You can just continue that about the whole fucking show. Even the finale haters. I know that you're saying something right now, listener. You're like, the whole show? The whole show. I reserve the right to change my mind when I rewatch it, but in my memory, I think of the finale favorably.
Now, on a scale of controversy where 0 is no controversy and the highest controversy is Lost, how controversial is the finale?
If Lost is a 10, this is a 9.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I actually read an article 10 minutes before we started recording saying that if the finale had just aired a year later to give it more time, more physical time separated from airing from the Lost finale, that people would have liked it more, because the Lost finale started this thing where people were just picking apart every finale for every little thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
that sucks.
Yeah.
That's a timing problem.
Yeah. If it had just aired
so interesting.
later, it wouldn't have been a thing. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Can't wait.
Yeah. We get down in the hangar where the mechanics have found and restored Adama's fighter from the first Cylon War.
Oh.
Yeah, we see his
This
Husker
is very
call
touching.
sign. He gets big sads about it. And then there's a photo of him as a child with the Fonz, which they also framed.
Question. No, I think that photo was him with his kids.
Oh yeah,
right?
that photo is him with his kids in middle age. But it always looked like Arthur Fonz, like not even like Harry Winkler. It looked like Arthur Fonzarelli, the character from Happy Days, to me every
That's
time.
hilarious. Yeah. So they told us in the opening that this is 40 years since the conflict ended, and he was in the first conflict.
Yes.
How old was he in the first conflict? He had children, it seems like.
So that photo is not during the first conflict.
Okay.
That photo is like maybe 20 years old, and the first conflict was 40 years ago.
Okay. So he had the kids after that.
Well after, yeah.
Okay.
At least I think. I don't know. I never watched Blood and Chrome, which we'll watch as part of this watch through. But at the end of, like, 2 years after the end of the show, they tried to do they did one prequel series that goes back to the, like, creation of the Cylons. That's called Caprica. And then they tried to do another one after that failed after its first season. That was called Blood and Chrome, that followed young Adama through the first Cylon War.
Oh.
And I haven't seen Blood and Chrome. So, but it's literally the last thing we'll be watching. It's the Lost Tales of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, cool.
So we'll get there eventually.
Well reviewed then, I'm sure.
It didn't get picked up from Pilot, so.
Mm-hmm. Okie dokie.
And I think they aired it on the web as like 10-minute minisodes at first. There's a lot of that in this show. Sci-Fi trying to like expand their internet footprint in a time before YouTube being a thing, really.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have multiple series of webisodes that are all like 5-10 minute little things. And there's like 8 of them. And they are plot critical. You need to see them to know. Like they'll reference stuff that happened in them. It's a whole thing. I have them all scheduled in on our big calendar spreadsheet for everything. So
yeah, that's kind of a pet peeve of mine, is like having to like go to multiple media to find out plot critical stuff. Like,
yeah,
like comic, you got to read the comic book to get this part. And it's like, there should be enough contained in the one medium that I can, get it all in there. Okay. Anyway.
So after this, we cut to fuck yeah space cards. So excited.
Yes, weird space cards. I
Weird
saw it and I was
space
like,
cards.
oh, Xhafer loves this shit.
I do.
Yeah, but we're playing like traditional poker, I think, with our weird space cards, right?
It sounds very traditional poker-ish. Yeah.
And we piss off Resting Colonel Face. I don't know what his name is.
Soul Tie.
Say that again?
Saul Tie. Saul, like Better Call Saul. And then his last name is Ty, and it's spelled Tigh, but I always just write Ty.
I never caught his name. I just called him Resting Colonel Face the whole time because he has a real Resting Colonel Face.
There's a bit of that. Just like all the pilots have 3 names because they've got their first name, their last name, and their call sign.
And then a nickname. Yeah. Okay.
So Leah Dama is Apollo. Kara Thrace is Starbuck.
Okay.
So
I did catch Apollo and Starbuck.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just like spending years in the LARP scene and just everyone having a dozen names because of it, but oh, you're dressed as this person today, is something I've had to do in my past. So I feel like I'm pretty good at catching it and rolling with it. If you need a name clarified at any point, just tell me.
Yeah, his I definitely didn't catch. I think I caught everybody else. Everybody else who seemed like a main thing. There might be people who are a main thing that I don't know yet.
So Ty flips the table here when he loses the hand.
Yeah, she makes a crack about his wife or something, right?
Yes.
Starbuck pisses him off and gets herself thrown in the brig.
Yeah.
Did she hit him? He threw the table. She hits him, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He
So he
throws
really
the table,
started it.
She punches him. And then Adama is talking to him. It's all like, you're drinking at 8 a.m. You flipped the table. You got punched for it. Everyone saw you flip the table first. He's just like, oh, did I? It's all like, yes, you did. He's trying to get him to drop the charges because he cares for Kara for a reason we find out about very soon.
Yeah, it's a very like paternal caring, I think. Not
for
like
sure.
Creepy, weird caring.
No, it's I don't know. Sometimes I am going to try so hard to not spoil stuff, but sometimes I see a scene and I'm like, oh, of course they said that because of this thing. And I just remember the plot point and it's obvious what they're saying to me, but it might be just heavily inferred and I might be spoiling something.
No, so I thought he cared about her a bunch because she's kind of like a surrogate child for the child that he lost.
Yes, and she was engaged to that child.
I did not catch that part.
Okay. So I don't know if that was made explicit or not, but there is a point where her and Lee are talking when she's in jail. And she's just like, well, what do you think he meant to me? Like, you can't come at me complaining about the loss of your brother of all people on alive. I am the person you can't do that to.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. So it's more than it's not like, oh, she's a hotshot pilot and I'm trying to save her ass. It's all like, no, she was engaged to your dead son. You're taking care of her.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that
Spoilers.
they explicitly stated that.
Okay.
Maybe they did, and I just didn't catch it. But I did. I was like, there's something weird happening here.
I will say, we have set up the spoilers channel for Battlestar. I have hidden it from you.
Yes.
You can't see it, right? Good. Because the first comment, like, I was taking notes and I'm just like, I know I'm going to ruin shit. I almost ruined 2 twists in my notes before I realized and went back and crossed them out. And so I posted in there and I'm all like, I'm going to fuck all this up. And then, I think it was Ben or Austin were commenting with me. And it's just like, as long as you don't mess up the biggest twist, you're doing fine.
Okay.
So sorry, listeners, if I ruined something ahead of time. It is not intentional, but
yeah.
I will say I keep my mouth shut about a bunch of stuff this episode.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, I had intuited something weird was happening there with Kara and Lee, but I wasn't sure what it was.
Okay.
So, okay, she was engaged to Zach. Got it.
Yeah. So after this, we cut over to Caprica City, Caprica. How do you feel about cities named after the place they're in?
Well, I kind of live in one of those, so...
I remember seeing this as like in college and being like, who the fuck would do that? That's such a dumb name for a city. And
it's
then
everywhere, man.
It happens all the time.
I mean, we have one. Kansas has one. I think actually a lot of places have a state city, city, but they're not as big as like Oklahoma City and Kansas City. Like, but they're there. They're in there somewhere. Yeah. No, it's pretty funny, especially when the thing that they're in is a planet. That's where it's really funny to me.
Earth City, Earth.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's sillier that way.
It is. We're hanging out with Laura Roslin here, who finds out she's got cancer.
Yeah, still a thing in this future. And metastasized breast cancer to such a point that it's like not operable.
It's bad news.
Yeah.
Time is limited. And
that's crazy.
She gets on a plane and goes to the Galactica. The dead lady with the Cylons is walking around a farmer's market on Caprica where she kills a baby. And as I apologized to Laura before we started recording, I had completely forgotten about this scene.
Yeah, my husband did not warn me about this scene either. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you not warn me? But he doesn't think about these things sometimes.
I mean,
but,
I haven't watched the miniseries since it aired. I want to say, well, okay, so Battlestar Galactica, the miniseries actually aired in like, I want to say like December of 2003. And then the show started in 2004. So it's 2004's Battlestar Galactica, despite this being from 2003. And
gotcha. Okay.
I want to say I rewatched the show in like the weeks before the finale aired in 2009. That sounds right to me. So that'd be the last time I watched this miniseries. So I will for certainly forgotten things.
Yeah, this scene, not to belabor it or linger on it too long, but it almost seems to me like Six has some like weird feelings about things.
Yeah.
Like she maybe feels guilty or not totally into everything. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into it.
No. You're doing good. You're on the right path.
Right.
Cylon culture is it's not like the Borg, you know. I don't want to say too much else.
Okay.
But it's not every Cylon is this unthinking hive mind thing.
Okay.
They are separate
individuation
characters.
A little bit.
Yeah. We have a level of individuation, but not it is cool and interesting. And I'll leave it at that because it's a plot point.
Yeah. So then she goes to visit Gaius Baltar, who's a real dick.
Computer advocate and defense contractor, Dr. Gaius Baltar.
He can go fuck himself.
This hit, my exact note here is this hit way different before Musk. But mostly because this feels like the person Elon Musk wants people to think he is.
Yeah.
At least the face he puts on. He's still clearly a smart dude, but not a super genius like he thinks he is.
But he sucks.
He is the worst. I mean, in original Battlestar Galactica, Dr. Baltar is a character, and he is effectively the Lost in Space Mr. Smith.
Interesting.
Where, like, Mr. Smith is, like, involved. He's in the party. He's a survivor of this thing, but he's also not a good guy. But he has to work with the good guys all the time. And so that's kind of the vibe here.
Okay. I kind of wondered when we're introduced to him and he just sucks so much. I was like, are we going to have kind of like a Jaime Lannister thing going on here where he really sucks, but we turn him around a little bit? And then you're like, wait, I feel complicated about Dr. Gaius Baltar? I don't know. Problematic fave eventually? I hope not, but...
I don't know. Lift your earmuffs off. I don't know how to do
Xhafer's
this.
just going to have a conversation with the audience for a while.
No, I mean, of the characters in Babylon 5, which is the show that we're just coming from watching, that Baltar is probably most likable to. He is a Londo-esque character in a couple, but not all ways.
Okay.
And we can have that discussion in the Discord in the spoiler channel, listeners.
Go there, guys.
Go
but
there.
I'll be not there because I don't want to be spoiled. Okay.
Remind me, because this is weeks ago when you're listening to this for me. But I've got some feelings there. But the dead lady, I did not use her name up until this point because we weren't quite sure what was going on with her. And we've already talked about it, so I'm just going to try and remember in my notes. Number 6 here comes to Baltar for some sexy times. And I have a real problem with this pleather bra and panty girl because you are walking around outside in those, and that cannot be comfy.
No.
That has to be miserable. It's also like cold out, and these can't be helping. I don't know. Yeah. It's just like, why would you do this to yourself? I don't know. I guess that's the biggest difference between me at like 20 watching this show and me at 40 watching this show. Where it's all like, oh, wow, look at those bra and panty. 20-year-old me is all like, oh, those are cool. And 40-year-old me is all like, why would you fucking do that to yourself?
I guess if you're a robot, you don't have to worry about things like chafing and infections. You have robot ways of dealing with that. But yeah, no, not a good idea.
Yeah.
Also, she should probably get that spine checked out, huh?
So yeah,
that
they get freaky
problem.
And her spine glows. This is kind of a callback to the old Cylons in Battlestar Galactica because they had like a red eye that would like sweep across their face.
Oh yes, they do that with the guns too, don't they?
They do that. It shows up in a handful of places. It's definitely a visual clue that this is a Cylon. That's what you're supposed to kind of intrinsically infer if you're familiar at all with the source material.
Okay. Is this your number 3 best like homage to the original?
No,
red spine?
No, my notes actually say, like, I get it. You got to leave a clue for the audience, but what a weird fucking choice in retrospect.
It's great. It's great. Oh, is that why she wears red too? Why 6 wears red?
It's part of it.
Yeah. Also, she looks really good in it.
So, Leodama arrives, and he's a bit of a shit.
Yeah, he's kind of mad. He has some feelings about his upbringing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Boomer and Hilo get back from a mission, and Boomer immediately debriefs the chief.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because they have sex, but also they talk about the mission.
These are some of the people that I was like, I don't have your names yet. You're probably important, but I wasn't watching close enough. Yeah.
We've got Sharon, whose call sign is Boomer. I forget her last name. We got Hilo. That's his call sign. He has a name outside of that. And then we have Chief Galen Tyrrell. Are all these characters here. All the Raptor and Viper pilots gather up to go over mission planning for the decommissioning ceremony. When Lee finds out he's got his dad's old Raptor for the retirement ceremony, he is not enthused.
Yeah, dad's old ship that he loved more than me, basically.
Yeah, right. Baltar and Chat6BT talk about all the help he got on his computer homework and all the help she got digging around the Ministry of Defense mainframe.
What the fuck, Gaius? What the fuck?
Yep. I'm sure this won't come back to bite him in the ass or humanity.
So, we need another like network security lesson from Professor Xhafer here.
Yeah. Well,
Don't let the evil robots into your mainframe.
There is actually a lot about computer security in this show due to the bad guys being robots.
Yeah.
There was an earlier scene, or no, it hasn't happened yet, where Adama lights up Laura Rosalind about networked computers on the ship.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
that's
having
the
none
hard
of it.
line, is no networked computers. Which, yeah, that's how you transmit viruses and stuff. So they'll use the term, and it's the actual term that we use in IT, is air-gapped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
An air-gapped computer is one that has no access to other computers.
Yeah. Right.
That said, knowing what we know about like how AI works and develops and like the advances in computer science in the last 20 years, even though all modern AI technology was actually invented in 1982, it's like that won't matter at all, but I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is really interesting to look at from the computing environment that we're in today. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, isn't it cute that once the thing that we were most worried about was like the computers themselves gaining some kind of sentience and stuff, and not like what other humans would do with these computers.
With something that was able to respond in a way that made it feel like it might have a thought. And man, I will go on about this for forever. Listener, you might be new to the show.
Yeah, you could be just hopping in for Battlestar.
You could just be hopping in for Battlestar. If you didn't listen to the Babylon 5 coverage, I am an information technology professional. This weekend, as we're recording, I have 3,600 different AI models running in a virtualized workspace trying to compute something for me. Like, this is stuff that I do professionally. I could talk about it a lot. Machine learning models and what we commonly call artificial intelligence, even though it is neither artificial nor intelligent. It is something we have trained to guess, and we've got it guessing phrasing, and that makes it sound like it has feelings, but really it's just mimicking things, and it's a whole other there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's all just math. It's all math. I promise everything you've ever seen from ChatGPT was just math. No matter what it looked like, it was math.
I love it.
Anyways, Chat6PT turns around and is just like, oh, I've been waiting for you, as we hard cut to the old Cylon model.
Oh.
What a good fucking cut. It's just like, they've told us she's a Cylon at this point. We've seen the going back. We've seen her die. We've seen her come back. She's like, oh, I've been waiting for you. She's talking to a Cylon. Right? Like, It's fucking perfect. It's so well done. Ugh.
But we don't know who she's talking to that she was waiting for.
Wow, if only that could possibly matter to the plot.
Oh, man. I'm so curious.
You'll watch the next one and you'll probably curse a little.
Okay.
I mean, it's obvious Cylons look like humans now.
Yeah.
Do you just want to guess? I won't say the answer. How many Cylons that look like humans do you think you saw in this episode?
Oh, I don't know.
You know of one. At this point, you haven't watched the second episode, so you've only got this episode as framework.
I only know of 6. Yeah. Oh, man. I don't want to believe there were any other ones, but you're telling me that there probably were.
I don't know, am I?
I'm going to guess there's at least one more, because she was talking to somebody and it seems like that maybe we knew who they were. So, okay.
You want to take your headphones off for a second so that I can have a conversation with Aaron and the listener?
Okay.
I'll give you a thumbs up when it's safe, okay?
Headphones off. Can't hear you.
5. There's 5 fucking Cylons in this episode. It blew my mind.
My favorite part about that was that Xhafer put his hands around his microphone like he was whispering to you all.
I didn't want you to read my lips instinctually for the number I said.
Sure. I loved it though.
I will try not to do that. On episodes where we have a guest who has seen the show, we'll probably
send Laura out of the room for a minute.
Send Laura out of the room for a minute.
I'll go make myself another cup of tea.
Yeah, but yeah, it was crazy to me. Just some of the stuff. There's so much little stuff in this episode that is just for like 20 episodes from now. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Babylon 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Billy and Duwala give each other the eyes. So Billy is Laura's assistant. Duwala works in CIC. These are characters that we got very little of this episode, but are main characters in the show.
Okay, these are two more that I was like, I don't remember a Billy.
Yeah. So yeah, Billy is Laura's assistant.
Okay.
And then Duwala is the one who's like our comms officer right now.
Okay.
Anastasia Duwala, I think is her name.
Okay.
They like pass each other in the hallway and they're just all like, oh, hey, sup, with their eyes. And then he goes to the bathroom and she's the one who's there.
Oh, okay. Okay. I do remember the bathroom.
Yeah. As Doral, who's like the guy who was giving the tour at the beginning, escorts Secretary of Education Laura Roslin to the commander of the ship. And this is where Adama has his fifis about computer networks. And after he explains why very succinctly, she's just like, it's your ship, bro. It very much feels like we'll wait for you to be done and off of the ship, and then we'll install the networked computers for the school kids. But that's fine. Like, you know, the plans are going to change pretty soon here anyways.
Yeah, I'm not clear. Like, is he giving up the ship when it becomes a museum, or is it just going to be his museum for a little bit?
Lee visits Kara in the brig, where we learn Kara was involved with Lee's brother and Adama's other son, Zach, who is so fucking dead.
Yeah, and I don't remember if they had this discussion here or if it comes up when he's like mad at his dad later, but it seems like Zach was trying really hard to be what Daddy Adama wanted him to be.
Yeah.
And it got him killed in some sort of pilot accident.
Yes. That I think most of that comes later, but yes, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
We have some daddy problems.
There's more to it even still that has not been revealed yet.
Okay. Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Over at Baltar's, Chat 6BT wakes up Gaius, and he's with another lady, and she's about to shit in his cereal.
God, he sucks.
He's the worst. On the Galactica, Dural gets some publicity shots with the Adamas, with both of them ending up hating the conversation that follows. So this is where they talk about Zach dying in the accident and how they haven't spoken since the funeral and everything around their issues. Yeah. The commander tries to make an outreach to his son at first and is trying to be a little bit nicer about things. Lee tells him to fuck off, and they both end up hating everything. And after this is when 6BT reveals to Gaius that she's a Cylon, exactly what he's done and how complicit he is in the things that are happening. And this whole conversation was actually done Ozymandias style.
I triggered it 35 minutes ago.
So they told us earlier that Gaius is a computer apologist.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
He's like, we're holding society back by not embracing computers more, guys. There's a happy medium where we don't make things that want to kill us like they did our parents.
Yeah, how quickly we forget stuff as a society. I think that's what Galactica is saying here, just in general.
Man, if only. How quickly we forget the people that we had to fight again. Okay. The ideas we had to fight. Anyways, after this, we get kind of the retirement ceremony. There's a flyby, and they play the national anthem of the 12 colonies, like the military march, when this happens. This is the old theme song from the original Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, I was hoping you were going to say that.
This is the homage. this is perfect. They're flying the old ships. They're playing the old song. Like, it is chef's kiss. Perfect, beautiful moment. My favorite part of this whole episode. Because it's just a little thing, but that's all it should be and all it needs to be. And it works so well.
You don't have to hammer us over the head with something.
Yeah.
Unlike some reboots we've had in the past.
Mm-hmm. Adama gives his first Adama speech. This is a reoccurring motif throughout the series. Oh, really? Yeah.
Interesting. It seems like he has one in front of him that he sets aside and says other things instead.
That's what makes it an Adama speech, is having something planned and then going off script.
Yeah.
Edward James Olmos is just so fucking good in this role.
He really is, yeah.
He is a very engaging speaker. So I got a chance to see him just speak. I want to say it was before the finale aired, but it was not about, like, it was just him speaking. It was just him talking about the future and life and his experiences and stuff, right? But I was in a packed auditorium, and he at one point got the entire crowd chanting, "So say we all," which is a thing that happens next episode, I think.
Okay.
Which was improvised. We'll talk about it when we get there. But it's a thing that becomes a motif throughout the series. It's kind of like their version of Amen.
Yeah.
It's the thing you say after a prayer, right?
Okay.
So it's super cool.
I can't wait to drop that in somewhere very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like Edward James Olmos. I just want to say that. Like, I walked away from this episode like, man, I really aspire to the, like, collected, quiet calm of Edward James Olmos, but I'm pretty sure I'm just the reckless mania of Starbuck.
Inside you, there are two wolves. One is Edward James Olmos from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. So I did walk away feeling unsettled as well, but yeah.
After this, 6BT tells us of the Cylon resurrection, and so her escape plan is getting nuked. She also reveals that there are 12 Cylon models.
Yes. She is number 6.
She is number 6 of 12. That is a very important number. It's a very important number just in the numerology of the show, because there are 12 colonies, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's lots of that where things keep showing up.
Yeah.
It's almost like all of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. It's super good.
So I'm wondering, like, if there are 12 models.
Yeah.
Is that of all Cylons? All Cylons are one of 12 types?
You know, that's how I'm here. I'm just not answering.
Okay. All right. Let's go on. Let's move on.
I did not drop out the internet connection there. I'm just refusing to answer.
This is fun. You know what's fun about this, Xhafer, that's different from our Babylon 5 coverage? Like, I can, like, say stuff to provoke you and not know I'm doing it. This is going to be a fun challenge.
For both of us in very different ways. The whole of Caprica is just absolutely nuked to hell here.
Yeah, lots of those little mushroom clouds going on.
Adama gets called by Gaeta, who is, I think, third in command of the ship.
Okay.
Something along those lines.
Is it Adama, resting Colonel Face, and Gaeta? Like, is that the order? Okay. It feels like Saul is
he's the
XO, right?
He's XO. He's number 2. Yeah.
Okay.
It's CO, XO, and then Gaeta's probably one of a couple of people at his rank on the ship currently. Anyways,
they get a message, right?
Yeah, they get a message that the Cylons are attacking. Condition 1 is set, the commander broadcasts, and our characters get their tasks to prepare for war.
Oh, we skipped over one thing. I have questions about it, but they might just be provoking questions.
That's fine. Always ask. I can always choose not to answer.
As Gaius Baltar is like, oh shit, I don't want to die. 6 could have let him die
Yeah.
when the shockwave hits his house and doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What an interesting choice.
There is so much to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the scene later, right, when we get to Hilo on Earth and them picking people out,
yeah.
Gaius is there. Six is not.
Right. But he sees her.
Right? But she's not
She
there.
did something to his brain.
We'll talk about it a bunch.
Okay.
There will be a lot of conversation about that thing. That is the introduction of one of the core mysteries of the show.
Oh, okay. All right. So we've basically found out they're attacking everywhere. Like all 12 of the colonies, right?
Yeah, everything is fucked.
Okay.
They wiped out fleet headquarters. They're taking all the major cities. They're starting at the population bases and working their way around.
Good thing we've got some old ships that aren't networked to anything, huh?
Yep. A attack squad from Galactica is headed to Caprica, since they are only a few hours away, with Hilo and Boomer, while Starbuck and the rest of the pilots are without ships. So they grab the old Mark IIs, the Raptors or the Vipers from the First War, out of the museum and start getting them prepped and ready to go and loading munitions. Speaking of loading munitions, the biggest problem that the Galactica has right now is that they don't have any armaments on board. They were going to be turned into a museum. Those have all been taken away. So Sol is put in charge of finding a armory of some kind that the ship can get to, so that they can have guns and stuff.
Yeah. Okay,
Duwala receives a weird message about ships just losing power. Man.
Yes.
Would be a shame if that happened to that whole squad of unnamed randos flying with Hilo and Boomer.
Yeah. Wait, why does Hilo and Boomer's ship escape this?
They are too far away. So there's two types of ships that are part of these fighter squadrons. You've got Vipers, which are the little fast guys, and then you've got Raptors, which are like hosting all of the sensors and communication suites and things that won't fit in the tiny ships.
Okay.
So they've like Vipers only have like little short range radios. They could not get back to Galactica. They cannot do a number of things. So this is like a support ship that is assigned to every fighter squadron to have extra munitions, enhance sensor suites, coordinate things. I think they can refuel ships. There's a couple things that they're very multi-purpose. And so when combat actually starts, they are not a combat ship. So they fall the fuck back. So when they're like two Cylons on approach, they're just like, cool, we're going to hang out 20 minutes behind you because we can do everything that we need to do from that far back.
Okay.
To help this fight.
Gotcha. And so, yeah, everybody loses power. That's a big thing we keep hearing about. Whenever people are communicating, they're like, oh, our ships just died.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder if that has something to do with somebody being in the defense mainframe.
Oh, wow. So Boomer and Hilo get followed after the there's just like all the Vipers get destroyed. Viper and Hilo get followed. They turn off their power and kind of drift towards Caprica so that way they can set down and repair. And we get a really cool shot of this like completely destroyed Battlestar that they just kind of float past.
Yeah. Is this one of the older Battlestars, or do we know anything about it?
There aren't any other older Battlestars in service.
Okay.
Adama calls notice that most of the cities have been nuked here. Rosalind relays the news on her passenger liner before getting a message from someone else that notes that the president had offered unconditional surrender to the Cylons and it was ignored.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it?
They don't care. That's not what they're here for.
They're not interested. Just like they weren't interested in the station.
a single missile makes it to the liner for some reason.
Yeah.
Just like some super long range, like, oh, there's one out there, we'll get it with this missile because it's defenseless. But Apollo does some fancy flying. He rolls the hard 6 and saves the ship.
He's still rolling in the old Viper, right? Or is he?
Yeah, he has his dad's old Viper for this trip.
Yeah. They sent him along to like escort back home, right? Was that the...
Yeah, so he got assigned to escort the Secretary of Education back home after the ceremony. Boomer and Hilo land. Boomer repairs the fuel line while Hilo tends his injury as a bunch of refugees start coming up to them.
Yeah.
Including Gaius Baltar.
I am that guy.
Apollo gets picked up by the liner, and their cargo bay is somehow a giant warehouse with concrete floors.
I didn't notice the concrete floors, but I did think, like, why does this liner have such a big cargo bay?
And it's one of 3. And it's like the passengers are like, there's like 20 people on this ship and it's cramped up there. And then there's like houses of space down here.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can see why you might want to do a ship like that, but then don't call it a passenger liner. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's plot important, I'm sure.
It will be. Duval isn't happy about Rosalind being in charge, but he gets shot down here by Lee, who's just all like, she's in charge.
Lee's a smart man.
Yeah.
He's a smart man.
Boomer and Hilo save a pile of kids, and they've got room for 3 more, so they're going to set up a lottery for these refugees. Back on the Galactica, they have Dratus contact, which is their radar. You'll be hearing Dratus contact is something we'll be hearing a lot.
Gotcha.
It's like range area in space. It's an acronym.
Okay, gotcha.
Vipers launch the old Mark IIs. They don't get impacted by the Cylon power off. Starbuck launches late, but scores what I do believe is the first human kill of a Cylon in this war.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, we've been told they're just mowing over everything else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've literally just turned off everything else before anyone has a chance to do anything.
Uh-huh.
The only ships that are unimpacted by that are these old ones.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be the first opportunity.
Yeah, Galactica is the only one with these old ships, so...
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Good work.
One of the Cylon raiders launches nukes at Galactica, of which one makes contact. Heavy damage to the Battlestar, as they have no munitions to arm their countermeasures. So lots of space combat in this show is throwing weapons at each other and hoping, right?
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of the time, like, missiles are not... It's kind of like... So in Star Trek, you've got phasers and torpedoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
the phaser is like a laser.
A phaser is a laser, and you have a ton of them, and you can use them to shoot energy at things, which will drop a shield, and shields and deflector dishes bounce off physical things before they impact the ship. So if you don't drop shields, technically torpedoes are less effective because they'll impact the shield and not the ship itself, which is where you want your torpedoes to hit. So you use lasers to weaken the shields so that your torpedoes get through and blow up the other ship.
Sure.
Star Trek combat in 5 seconds. Battlestar Galactica combat in 5 seconds. You have missiles and you have guns. The guns don't do a whole lot, but they're really good at blowing up missiles. Missiles are really good at blowing up ships. You use guns to stop missiles. If you don't have any guns, like the Galactica doesn't because they don't have any ammunition, they cannot protect themselves. So we don't see it here, but once the Galactica gets ammunition, we learn a couple of things that kind of don't make sense right now. Like right now, the fighter pilots, they all just get launched out of these tubes really fast. And you're like, oh, it's to get them going fast, right? Before they launch. So you don't have to build up speed. Actually, it's to get them the fuck away from the ship, because the most dangerous place to be is in front of the ship, which is going to be covered with bullets. that are firing constantly to stop missiles from hitting the ship.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about munitions depot. We need to rendezvous at a munitions depot, I think.
I don't think it'd be shocking to say that is the entire plot of the next episode.
Sure. Okay.
They say it at the end that that's what they're going to do. So,
Yeah.
you know. The Galacticos has violent decompressions and fires, causing Saul to order an emergency vent of the ship that Yeah. So
this is controversial. Some members are really not happy with this.
Well, it kills a bunch of people, but it stops
Right.
the fires from getting to the fuel tanks, which would instantly destroy the ship.
Yeah. But you get the feeling that these younger members of the crew have not had to make these calls ever.
Well, they've never been in
not had to
combat.
live with one. Yeah. And so they're still thinking more about individual lives than collective lives, I suppose.
Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting sources of inspiration for this show.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the obvious ones, one is the Mexican-American War.
Interesting.
So a lot of the U.S. military, right before the Civil War, in the 5 to 10 years before the Civil War, we had a war with Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
It did not last particularly long. We beat the shit out of Mexico. But this was the first combat experience for a lot of soldiers that would then go on to fight in the Civil War, which is what makes it historically noteworthy. And so looking at that, you have career soldiers who have never been in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people who are long-standing veterans from the War of 1812 at this point. Outside of people who would do rebellions or were fighting against the natives, there's some other stuff. But the bulk of the United States Army had not been in combat action at that point.
Sure. Yeah.
And so looking at their journals and their catalogs and stuff and just learning more about those people, I've seen interviews with Ron Moore where he talks about that being an inspiration for the reactions of people to these scenarios because it was their first experience with combat.
Yeah. That's really thoughtful.
The show is very well made. So yeah, also, while we're talking about violent decompressions destroying the ship, that's a whole thing in The Expanse.
Yeah. At least in the books, for sure.
Yeah, it's in the show too. They don't, we watched it the last time on, so I didn't see everything. But we do have them, they get in spacesuits and they depressurize the ship. That's a whole thing that happens that we see. So that way you don't have violent decompressions. Bullets just go through and then you patch the holes and then you can take off your spacesuits.
That's smart, but I have this feeling that Galactica was probably not appropriately equipped for that sort of scenario.
No. And I don't know of another sci-fi show that handles space combat like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
for that, The Expanse gets science points. Baltar considers trading numbers with a blind old lady.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is where you're watching on the edge of your butt going, is he going to be the giantest douche or just a big douche?
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He doesn't.
Yep. But Hilo recognizes Gaius and is like, oh, he's one of the most brilliant people alive. He should probably go back to the ship because there's a lot of reasons where we're going to fucking need his ass. And so Hilo offers to stay behind on Caprica with the other refugees so that Baltar can take his seat.
I hope that Hilo dies not knowing that Gaius is part of the reason this all happened. You would hate for him to die knowing this, wouldn't you? I love the look on Xhafer's face when he just stops talking and stares at the camera.
It's actually, I've got the... no one can see this because we don't put our video anywhere. We record with video on so that we can see each other because it makes it easier to communicate like human beings. But my camera was not on the monitor that I had the screen. So let's try that again. Just eyes right down the barrel.
Yeah. Every time you need to do that, just go ahead and I'll have a good laugh.
Over on the liner, the ship receives a code orange, which is a code for when the president and most of the line of succession are dead.
There's a special code just for that.
Yeah, she sends over her response code to check in, as it were, and talks with Lee briefly before hearing back that she is now the president.
She was 43rd in the line of succession,
Yep.
and she is now the president. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, because she's 43rd, there were 42 ahead of her, right?
Yes.
Is this a little fun nod to Douglas Adams, maybe?
Oh, it
I always
probably
wonder.
is. It probably
Whenever
is.
Whenever we pick the number 42 for anything, I'm always like,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, she takes her oath of office. And just like Babylon 5 was set up to mirror the shots of LBJ taking office after JFK was killed, all of this, both of those shows used the exact same framing, the same angle and everything of the TV camera with the last minute oath of office.
Yeah. And she tells her assistant or somebody in the liner that she knew everybody.
Yeah.
She knew all of them. They were all, colleagues, if not friends.
She had worked with them for a while. The president, she was not a political person, but she had been in this president's set of aides or cabinet for much longer than his term as president of the 12 colonies.
Mm-hmm.
He was a personal friend.
Yeah. Where was the president of the 12 colonies? Was that on Caprica, or do they tell us?
I don't know if they say it here. I know Caprica is the capital of the 12 colonies. So it would make sense that that's where the government is.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know I think we might even get a confirm for that in the Caprica spinoff show. But I don't remember where that came from. And I don't think it's an important plot point, so I don't have a problem saying it now.
Okay.
Ty has found the munitions depot they need at Ragnar Anchorage.
Okay.
The chief and Callie start to handle all of the dead when the chief goes to Adama to bitch about the colonel's call.
Yeah.
But Adama shuts that down real quick. And they begin to start the FTL process. This
FTL.
is faster than light.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we're going to be learning how faster than light travel works in this universe very soon. They say it's a lot of math, and if they get one thing off, they could end up in a sun.
Cool. We don't trust computers?
And we don't trust computers.
Oh, no.
Yep. So making these jumps is very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something the ship hasn't done. It's something this crew has probably never done.
Great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Most of them, at least.
So we've heard about a lot of Battlestars going down. Are all the Battlestars gone? Or are there some out there?
To Galactica's knowledge, they are the last ship in operation at this time.
Okay. Gotcha.
I cannot answer that more neutrally.
Okay.
Yeah. And at this point, they get that message that almost all these Battlestars are destroyed. No one's really responding. Adama takes command of the fleet.
I'm taking command of the fleet.
He sends out a regroup message, which President Rosalind is like, fuck that, Battlestar. You get here. You come to us and help us save people. Don't go to that other fucking place. That's dumb.
Yeah. A little conflict between our two, seasoned older folks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The two leaders, yeah. Apollo's like, what the fuck is going on? Raiders show up, and Apollo has to drop the call. Lee messes with the thing they took off the Galactica. He runs down to the storage bin, messes with the thing.
Oh. Yeah.
Dratus on the Galactica shows that Colonial 1 has been nuked to credits.
Yes. But it's not been nuked. Something's different.
I mean, spoilers for the first 30 seconds of the next episode.
Yeah, but it's such a cliffhanger. God,
Yeah.
I walked away from this going I see why people really like this.
It's a really good show.
It's really dark.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to watch in our current technological and political environment. Unfortunately, we're watching this after all hope died or whatever. couple weeks ago.
Like, we decided to do Battlestar as the next show
Early.
well over a year ago.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be the thing. You had been wanting to watch it. Aaron had been wanting you to watch it. I was looking for a rewatch. It was an obvious candidate. And since we started Who Are You, I transitioned from being in IT management to being in like AI development, right? Everything that politically has happened in that time, all of these things are basically since we've made this decision. And I don't know that we would have picked this show. If we had to pick a show, like if the start of this call was before recording, we picked a show to watch, I don't think we would have picked Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
But
I'm kind of feeling that way.
I'm real excited for it. I think that being uncomfortable a little bit will make it more impactful. Which is
I'm
good.
ready to lean into it. You know, I
same.
can tell that I'm uncomfortable, and it's kind of that. This is so silly, Xhafer.
Yeah, I mean,
but
we're literally recording our voices for strangers on the internet, Laura. You're fine.
we don't get sillier than this.
Like, it is silly. What we're doing is absurd.
You know, sometimes in things I've read about like dealing with change or hard things that are coming in your life, they compare it to like childbirth in that there's extreme discomfort that you have to go through in order to come out on the other side with something hopefully beautiful. And yeah, I'm ready to lean into it in that sort of way. I'm hoping that there's change coming, at least internal change for me, and maybe something else from leaning into this show. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Same. All right. Well, it's time to rate the episode.
Oh, what's our scale?
Our scale is, I need you to give this a rating on a scale of 1 to 12 colonies.
Oh, okay. I like that. 12 colonies is best, yes? Or...
Yeah, 12 colonies is best.
Okay. I mean, it's such a strong opening.
Yeah.
Like, I would give it all 12. Is that weird?
No, it's good.
Okay.
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I by no means disliked this episode. But this episode had to do a lot of heavy lifting with the plot. It did it very good and very efficiently. But because of all of the heavy lifting it had to do, it didn't get a lot of time to spend with the characters as people instead of the characters as exposition devices. And that's when the show really starts to shine.
Okay.
For a show about humans versus robots, it's about humanity, I think, more than anything else, and all aspects of humanity in very interesting ways. Like, religion is huge in this show. We got a little bit, right, where Gaius Baltar was making fun of Six for being monotheistic.
Oh.
That's a whole thing in this show.
Interesting.
There's all kinds of stuff. It is about the entire gamut of humanity, the good and the bad. And we don't get a lot of that here because we're too busy setting up things to be able to tell the stories that we want to tell. And with all that in mind, I give it an 8.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm looking at it from somebody who doesn't know anything. And so you had to set the table for me, and you've set a beautiful table. So
well, given it's the day after Thanksgiving, you know.
We care a lot about a beautiful table.
We spent some time setting beautiful tables in the last 36 hours.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, we'll be back with Battlestar Galactica, the miniseries, Part 2. Our episode description reads, Part 2 of 2. The people of the 12 colonies have been at peace with their enemies, the Cylons, for over 40 years, but that changes when the Cylons stage a sudden sneak attack that defeats colonial defenses and destroys the entire population centers under a devastating nuclear attack. Okay, well, we'll be back next week with that. But before we go, thank you to Jeremy Siegel for composing our theme music. We really appreciate it. You can find more of Jeremy's work at jeremysiegel42.bandcamp.com or on streaming services as Nuclear Jaguar.
And thank you to Angry Duck Time Machine on Instagram for our new podcast artwork.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, listener, for joining us on this journey. If you dug our Babylon 5 coverage and you're here to continue on with us, we really appreciate it. If you're new to the show, don't feel like you've got to go back and listen to that. But if you do, you'll probably have a good time. I hope so, at least. Babylon 5 is a great show, and you'll get to live a couple years of Laura and I's lives with us as we go through it. So thank you so much for listening. Hit up on the Discord. You can send us an email at, b5@gmail.com.
Oh, no.
I just thought about that. I had not even thought about that until now. A problem for another day.
Indeed. All right. Well, if you want to find us on the Discord, join us there. And we'll see you next week for Battlestar Miniseries Part 2.
Have a good week, Internet.
Bye.